Good. We're going to And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me in the booth tonight is Chris Wright. Josh Adams will be working as race control. Guys, how you doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good, man. Just jumped on here, ready to see a full distance race from Atlanta Motor Speedway with all our super speedway rules and all kinds of crazy stuff about how we enter pit road. And I am sure you will bring us all up to speed on that here before we go green, Robert, but it should be a great race tonight.
Definitely should be a good one. Josh Adams, our race controller. How you doing tonight, my friend? That was a jumbled mess.
Yeah, we're doing good. Looking forward to seeing if these guys can keep it clean and green tonight.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at your starting grid here tonight. And as you see, Tommy Ryan falling to the rear. We'll get more of that here momentarily. But slated to roll off in the pole was Tommy Ryan, Tyler Fode to his outside, Johnny Thomas, Jesse Racimus, row 2, William White, Tate Lytle, row 3, Michael Hosick, Ethan Stanley, row 4, Ethan Burrell, Hunter Smith in row number 5. Then it's Justin Wadsworth, Tyler Pop there in row 6, Frankenfield, Weeks, Francis, Coonan, Rawls, Crump, Scarborough, and Cutlip. That's your top 20 as the rest of the field going to go on by here. Tommy Ryan going to the rear due to a penalty in qualifying. So he went below the line on the front stretch. And you see here our race format. This is a long one. 163 laps tonight. There's going to be 3 stages. Those will come at the end of lap 40, the end of lap 80, and of course the final stage will bring us to the conclusion of the Atlanta 250. 7 sets of tires. And on your timing and scoring screen tonight, you'll see drivers in green. They're locked in. Blue, they're currently in. Black means they're still alive, and red means they are out. As we are coming to the green flag, we'll take the green flag and then we'll get to our race picks here in just a moment. But leading us to the green flag will be Johnny Thomas on the inside lane, Tyler Fode on the outside. As the green flag's out, we're underway here at Atlanta. We'll go ahead and get a race pick here. We'll start with Chris Wright.
Well, you come to these super speedways, and typically it's about controlling the lanes and trying to keep yourself up front. Handling's not going to come into play, but tonight, here at this racetrack, these guys are talking about how bad these cars handle, how loose they get. And anytime handling comes into play, I think there's one guy that comes to all our minds. And with you letting me be the first guy to pick, I'm going to go ahead and take him. I'm going to say Jonathan Cutlip tonight, especially with as big a factor as handling is going to play tonight.
So John Cutlip, that is the bright yellow number 5 machine right there. He is currently back in the 16th spot, already up 4 spots on the day. The move's not necessarily going to be imperative of what's going on here this afternoon. I'm going to go with, this is going to be a tough one, but I'm going to go with the Abbott Motorsports number 12 of a Leighton Norgard. He's currently one of those drivers currently in a playoff spot. He's going to be looking to lock in by a victory here tonight. Obviously, Josh Adams is our race controller, but we'll let him go ahead and let us know who he thinks might have the upper hand based off his experience.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that there was one driver that I thought Chris was describing the entire time, and that was Tyler Fode. So that's just who I'm going to go ahead and go with.
Tyler Fode, of course, started on the front row here this evening. A very solid pick. I would definitely think that he'll do fairly well here tonight. A couple other guys to watch throughout the evening. I'm gonna just throw this out here based off his comments he made earlier today. Chad Frankenfield, driving the number 15, kicking the tires forward for Little Eagle. He said he's going to be very aggressive tonight, maybe even more so than usual. So keep your eyes on that 15 all throughout the night. And as you see there, a couple drivers down on the bottom. Ethan Burrell getting a little bit loose. If you clip that apron just a little bit, it's very prone to kicking your car sideways. As Matthew Weeks down on the apron, not liking what he sees up there. He's going to fall to the bottom, fall to the back. I would expect maybe a couple others to go with him. Here's Thomas Coonan up into the outside wall. Yeah, Thomas Coonan with a bit of a tap there with the outside wall. He should be A-okay. Going to slot in there behind Josh Robin and Michael Goodman. That's back in the 25th spot. So not sure what happened to him. As you see Gerald Campbell down on the inside, Tommy Ryan there working his way up through the field. Of course, Tommy's going to have a bit of an advantage on pit road, does have that first pit box on the pit exit, so that's a bit of an upper hand. We'll see how that comes into play here as you see Seth Rawls up on the high side, briefly 3 wide there with Jared Rexing and Jeff Ryan. They're going to go back to 2x2 as I believe that's Josh Robin digging down to the inside, trying to work his way up through the field. He gets by Jared Rexing and Michael Goodman as well, as Ethan Burrell losing a couple spots up here towards the front. Michael Hosick, Scott Crump, these guys going to get by him. As back up front, though, it's all Tyler Fody leading the way. Jesse Racines, Ethan Stanley, Johnny Thomas, and Hunter Smith, the top 5.
Yeah, and one thing that I typically see around here is the longer the run goes, the more that inside line, if you stay to it, you're going to have better tire wear in the long run. But here at this point in the run, the outside line is where you want to be because you can carry more speed around there and hit the car down, and that's why you see this inside line die a little bit. But I think if it stays green in another 10 or 15 laps, the inside line is going to be the place you want to be, because if you're running up high, you're going to wear the right rear out even more. So I am very interested to see what happens here over the next 10 or 15 laps, see who does what. And we're wrecking down here. Jay Knorr's in it. The 68 is in it. Both cars are heavily destroyed. The 30 spinning. The 11 might be in it as well.
Matthew Weeks fell to the rear of the field earlier on. He is A-OK in that incident. Jay Connor going to be involved, as well as Michael Goodman and Connor Thompson. You mentioned Thomas Coonan involved in the incident as well. Let's take a look and see what happened on the Rebilas photography replay machine. Well, that's netcode from what I just saw right there. There might have been some contact coming nonetheless. Looks like, hard to tell. Chris, walk us through this one. I don't know. I think the 68's coming down a bit. The 9's coming up a little bit, but who does what more here?
Well, like you said, the 68 and the 9, that's netcode, but what I don't understand is they're laying back here, I think, trying to miss a wreck. Why is the 60... Look how much higher the 44 is. I don't understand why you would be right down against a guy for 25th, laying off behind the pack, trying to miss, in my opinion, I think they're trying to miss the wreck. You look behind them there at the 44 and the 00, how much room there is, and the 68's trying to be right on the 9's right rear, like it's racing for the lead. So I think while it is netcode, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. But then you get the 44 involved. And watch the 11 here. I saw the 11 come through here sideways. The 30, I believe, spins out as well. They come through here.
So Thompson is going to spin out. Michael Goodman, I think he gets collected via netcode as well. Let's watch that 44. I know Thomas Coonan's car kind of goes up and over the Michael Goodman machine. Actually, Jay Connor's machine does.
Oh, yeah. It touches the top of his car.
Tommy Ryan gets collected. Seth Rawls a little bit as well. Let's see if we can get a closer angle on the Michael Goodman machine going through this. I don't necessarily want to go on board, but we'll go gyro cam here on the 44 of Michael Goodman. You're going to see the underside of that 9 of Jay Connor here. Wow.
And he touches it. You see the way the car takes a load? He lands right on here. Top. The netcode touches the top of the 44 car, and it digs him in and spits him out, and that's why he spins out right here. That's incredible that the netcode is going to make contact like that on the roof of his car, and unfortunately, the Green Bay Packer machine does not appear that it's going to be able to continue on with the chance to win.
Yeah, that's definitely rough there for Michael Goodman. Chris, I want to see if we can maybe get a quick word with Michael Goodman on what he saw out of his windshield. Hey, Michael Goodman, it's Robert and Chris up here in the tower. You got a copy?
I got a copy, loud and clear.
Walk us through what you saw there from on board that 44 machine. You saw the underside of that 9 car, that's for sure.
Yeah, that really happened so fast. I couldn't even tell what the hell happened, but yeah, he must have came down right on my back end, because that little contact made it loose, and then I went for a ride.
What's the damage looking like on that 44 machine? Doesn't look too bad coming back out, but what's it feeling like?
She's down on power. It was about 9 minutes, which I was kind of surprised I got that much, but yeah, I'm hoping more chaos, I guess, at least for a little bit, until I get some of this damage fixed. And this Go Pack Go, Green Bay Packers, Miss Goodies Chevrolet will hopefully find its way back up front.
I'm going to tell you this, Michael. I don't think you're going to like what I'm about to tell you, but the car does not look that bad. You got a little bit of nose damage. I think the sim registered some heavy contact internally that might not be able to get completely fixed. He came down right on your roof number, and it's like it shot you down into the track and gave you a ton of damage when that happened.
Yeah, it's probably something internal, but we'll try to salvage whatever we can get anyway.
Well, Goody, we'll get you back down to your team. We'll talk to you a little bit later on.
All right, have fun, boys. Watch the chaos. Love it.
That was Michael Goodman. As pace car's off, we're coming back to the green flag this time. Tyler Fode, Jesse Racimus gonna lead us back to the green flag this time. Fode up top, Racimus on the bottom. Very slow lead up to the green flag, but we're back underway. Tyler Fode, Ethan Stanley gonna go out to those top two positions. And we'll go ahead and bring in race controller Josh Adams here. Josh, what was the ruling on caution number 1 of the day?
So yeah, we ruled a tally on the 68. As you guys mentioned, there was initial net code, it looked like, between the two of them. But the 9 did hold his line on the bottom. The 68 clearly came left across this bottom seam. So just from my vantage point, the 68 coming left, forces that action to happen. So I give the tally to the 68.
Definitely a good call there. I do believe, obviously, like we said, the netcode came into play, but you can see that 68 came down quite a bit, and the 9 holding his line for the most part down there on the bottom. As just a quick update, Thomas Kuhn and Jay Connor both still on pit road. Tommy Ryan 1 lap down in this one. There is a 6 lap down rule in effect this evening, so anytime a driver goes 6 or more laps down, they are done for the night.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately not what you want. Thomas Coonan has loaded up and headed home. He is done for the night. We're double wide up here. We got Jesse and Tyler Fode side by side for this lead. Got a heavy cloud cover over the racetrack. Going to give these boys some super grip here for a few laps.
Yeah, that's going to come into play here. Probably cool this racetrack down a little bit. Is Tyler Fode going to lead us in the early goings of this one? 15 laps in, 25 laps to go in stage number 1. Of course, no stage cautions here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, so we'll just reward the top 10 and continue along with our racing. But Tyler Fode, Jesse Racimus, Ethan Stanley, William White, and Johnny Thomas, the top 5. These guys all having pretty good runs here to start us off. Your biggest mover thus far, actually the only driver to move double digits forward, is Gavin Higgins in that 20 machine. He currently sits in 16th. He's up 19 spots on the day. So good run here so far for Gavin Higgins as they're swapping the lead up out front here. Racimus on the bottom, Fode up top. You're going to see them swap numerous times throughout this one as, of course, it's all really dependent on which line gets that better push.
Yeah, and I feel like handling should come into play here pretty soon, even though we had that caution to let these guys pull the tires down just a little bit. Nobody really pitted, even though they have 7 sets of tires. I think everybody's thinking...
And that's a major difference, too, between Atlanta and Daytona and Talladega when it comes to super speedway racing, is your tires can go away on you here.
Yeah, and I think we're going to start seeing that. Chad Frankenfield trying to look to the top of 3 wide back here.
Of course.
Not quite able to get the momentum that he needs.
I'm a little surprised he hasn't done it already.
Well, maybe he respects John a little bit more than some other guys.
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't it. He just hasn't got the
maybe.
run yet.
I mean, he put his own teammates 3 wide, so he's got Crump down there on the bottom as well as Chad trying to work his way through. Frank Fode behind him up on that high lane.
And having a run-in is no new thing to Chad. I believe just last night in the truck race, somebody that's up here with us right now had a little bit of a scuffle.
There's a little short track racing action there between Josh Adams and Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, but just had to do a little bit of rubbing. Hopefully they don't do too much of that tonight. It won't end too well.
No, that definitely wouldn't.
This third lane. Like if Frank would follow him through there one time to help him keep some momentum through the middle of the corner, he would be able to pull to the outside of Cutler. But so far, every time he's moved up, Frank has actually tried to fill that hole in the middle.
Chad's one of those guys in a must-win here tonight as well, so.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a position he wants to put himself in. I'm not sure if he knows yet, but that's the outside here at Atlanta. Lane 3 is probably the hardest outside to run on the entire sim in the pack like this. So hopefully if he goes up there, he's ready for it, especially as the car starts to get tight.
Well, from what I understand, Josh, and talking to some guys before this race, these cars are not getting tight tonight. They are getting extremely loose as they go.
As Johnny Thomas taking a look to the high side of Ethan Stanley, opts not to go with it. He's going to get back in line. It's fairly calm here so far, and I don't know, a lot of times it is the calm before the storm on these super speedways. We'll see what happens as the race goes along.
Right now, riding behind this pack, Gerald Campbell. You look at a guy. Well, you're looking at Tate Lytle too, but Gerald just fell back there.
Gerald's in a good spot.
And he's got some of that speed back. You know, he ran really good last night in the truck race. He's been running up towards the front here a lot recently. So finding that speed back. And Chad is now on the outside of 3 wide. He has pulled up there. He is making it work. And we are 3 wide now.
Is he making it work, though? Yes, he's up on the high side, but he's not really... Cutlip going to get a bit sideways there after a bit of contact. Frank Fody going to go to the high side of John Cutlip as well. All he really gained was about a spot there on John Cutlip. Now going to be side by side with Justin Wadsworth. So, like Josh said, the high side definitely an interesting one.
He's going right back to it. Going to try to do the same thing on Tyler Pop.
He's got that confidence for making that move on Cutlip. Now he's going to go back to the high line, just like you said, Chris. Not quite there on Tyler Pop that time, and Hunter Smith was running a little bit higher than Tyler Pop there, maybe giving Chad a little bit of that draft to pull off of, as they're going to be 3 wide off of turn number 4. Ooh, man, Frankenfield swung down quite a bit there, nearly into the side of the Tyler Pop machine.
What are you thinking right now, Josh?
I mean, speaking of Chad, this is what I like to see out of him. He knows he has to win. I'm not one to myself want to run in line, and he's either gonna get to the front or he's gonna get wrecked. So he's making it work right now. So hopefully it's good for him until he starts making contact with people.
And honestly,
he is barely hanging on. He finally lifts and gets back in line.
He has to come in with the checkers or wreckers plan here tonight. Finishing second will not be good enough for Chad Frankenfield. So got to do what you got to do. You can collect a lot of stage points and do all that stuff. But when you're in a position like Chad is, you got to win the race. That's it. That's all.
Well, but here's my thing. Oh, no!
Oh, well, there's the wreck. Oh, crump. Wow. There's the wreckers. All right.
Mark is in there. There's Tate Lytle.
Tate's in there. Jake Scarborough. Jared Rexing. Mark Rebilas. Tyler Pop. Oh, man. I think Pop's steering is broken on that one. Brett Baldeck, I think, got into that. Hunter Smith was in that. This is terrible for Little Eagle. Their wings just got clipped big time.
We were literally and figuratively. We were just talking about how good Chad was doing, making moves and just trying to be aggressive and seeing what he could do, and that's usually what happens when we start talking about people.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, that was some big net code though, right there.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a big one. Scott Crump goes up and nearly over. He's going to have a couple drivers driving underneath him. Chad Frankenfield, one of those. Hunter Smith involved. You see Chad Frankenfield in there. Tyler Pop, Frank Fody going to get in the wreck. Kyle Hanshaw going to sneak on by. There's a tire off of somebody's car. Looks like Jeff Ryan involved. Gerald Campbell going to get a piece of this one as well. Tate Lytle going to slide into the wreck. He's got Mark Rebilas and Jake Scarborough just up the road. Oh, I think Tate would have been okay. If I'm honest with you, I think he would have been okay if if Seth Rawls didn't come into the incident late and run right into the back of the Tate Lytle machine.
Yeah, I think did Seth get hit too? Yeah,
Yeah.
Seth got hit
Yeah,
from the 10. So.
We'll back that up. We'll take a look at Seth as well. This is a big one. This is the big one here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
I was just about to say, speaking about Chad.
Oh, Seth does a great job, honestly, of checking up for the wreck. You see him here. He's got guys going around him, and then he just gets collected.
Yeah, Jared's going to get into the back of him, give him a little speed boost, and it worked out for Jared. It slowed him down enough to turn left.
And you could see that Seth is on the brakes here. Look at the skid marks behind him. He's locked it down. That's a big one, guys.
But I was just about to speak. You cannot win this thing on that 25 if you're Chad, and it's a must-win. You know, there's certain chances that maybe it's worth it to take, and maybe it's not worth it to take on that 26, but then he falls back in line and gets caught up in the wreck anyway. Just very unfortunate for everybody. You see Josh Robin making his way around here as well. Lots of guys.
Baldeck, pit road. Mark Rebilas, he looks okay. Corey Abbott also on pit lane. He should be fine. Josh Robin, he's got a little bit of damage there. Hunter Smith gonna get involved in this wreck. He's got pretty heavy front end damage. Scott Crump.
And we have a big story here in the race right now too. Tyler Fody on back pitted right here and got tires.
So Jesse Racimus, Joe Francis staying out. There's 10 to go in the stage. Don't necessarily blame them, but Chris,
Jeff Ryan as well.
Look at this Chad Frankenfield machine, man. He's looking pretty rough.
That does not look like a car that I think is going to win tonight.
No, that's not a super speedway contender, as Frankenfield missing the hood on that machine. It'll keep the engine cool. That's for sure.
Yeah, I believe he was one of the cars that I saw on pit road with a meatball flag, so he's probably definitely down some power. Looking not so great.
Real quick, what do you guys think is going to happen to these guys that are on old tires?
I think they're going to be okay.
I don't think they're going to be okay. I think especially the 70 is going to look okay while he's out front, but as soon as they start getting back there, after, second, third, fourth, they're going to be done. I think the 35, and there goes Fody. He is not going to sit there behind the 70. He's got his teammate. We're 3 wide for the lead.
Johnny's trying to get through. Wow. Oh, no. There you go, Jeff Ryan.
Big wreck again.
We're going to stay green,
caution.
I think.
They saved it.
Wow.
That was one of those guys with old tires that caused that, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, that was Jeff Ryan. He was actually involved in the incident as well. I'm going to manually back this one up, guys, so excuse the scrubbing. As we back up, you'll see the 35 of Jeff Ryan. There's kind of 2 incidents in this one, isn't there? I guess it's domino effect. Jeff Ryan, he gets up into Johnny Thomas. Jeff will go for a slide. What happens here is William White.
Heavy contact with Gerald, too.
William checks up. He gets hit from Hossack up into Campbell. Into the outside wall goes the 00 of Gerald Campbell. They're going to collect a couple others in this, too. Gerald has taken the pit lane.
The 43 of William White actually hit the 35 of Jeff Ryan going into turn 3 to kind of set that off.
Wow.
And I believe, is this back live? We are back live.
We are back live, yes, sir.
Out front, he's going to be okay, I think. But if he were to get back there in line, it would not be as good. And these guys know what is the stage, lap 40?
Lap 40, yeah. We're coming to the end of the stage here very soon. And, I mean, top 7 has broken away, essentially, from the rest of the field. You see 7th place Joe Francis. There's 8th place Michael Hossack.
3 wide.
And there is 9th place Ethan Burrell. That secondary group is going to catch up pretty quick. You'll see that happen because they have a lot more cars working together. But out front, Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley, Jesse Racimus, the top 3.
Yeah, they might get there, but they won't get there for the end of the stage. As you see right now, Johnny Thomas kind of hanging on to the back of this. Joe Francis as well. Gerald Campbell and Ty McIntosh have both decided their cars are too destroyed to continue on out here tonight.
See Ty McIntosh?
Maybe he was in here as a spotter. I seen him leave.
Yeah. Ty's not here. Probably he might have been in with Jake Scarborough.
He got ran off the roof.
Yeah, he dropped
No
a
call for him to
sandwich.
spot on track. He got kicked out.
He dropped
dropped
a sandwich from the
somebody.
pagoda. What was that, Josh?
So Ty probably got stung by a bee up on the spotter stand.
It's possible.
Them bees migrating from Miami to Atlanta tonight.
Them Georgia bees.
The 70 is starting to get loose out front even right now as you see him go through that last corner there, 3 and 4 really sideways. The 20's pushing on him really hard. Gavin is known to be pretty aggressive, so he is staying right on the rear end of that 70, and that 70 is really struggling to hang on right now.
These two work pretty well together, Jesse Racimus and Gavin Higgins. They're friends in real life as well, off of the virtual racetrack, and you see them working together here. No real help behind them, and a lot of that is most likely based off of the old tires, plus it's Tyler Fody up top in lane number 2,
And well, that's the Lake Norman lane. You got Stanley
Yeah.
and Wadsworth right behind him. That's 3 Lake Norman cars.
And they're actually making really good time down there on the bottom. They were falling off in the beginning of the run, and now they lose a little bit of time down the straightaways, but they make it all back in the corners, and they get pretty good speed even against 5 cars.
Just a quick update on that second grouping, Ethan Burrell and company. They're still a fair bit back from Tyler Fody in group number 1. So like Chris said, they're not going to get there before the end of stage number 1, but we will stay green after that first stage, leading us up to stage number 2 that'll come at the end of lap 80. As we take a look here once again up front, Tyler Fody leads, Ethan Stanley second. Fody is clear of row number 2, but going to opt to stay up top there with Ethan Stanley and lead the way with their teammate Justin Wadsworth just behind them as well.
I'm gonna tell you, Goody they went by him, and it was like the Detroit Lions in the NFC North.
Yeah, you'll
It's
see it
pretty
here
rough
with
out
group
there
2
for
as
that
well.
back
He's having a rough day. Now a couple
He's gonna
blinking
blink a little
issues
bit,
as
too, 'cause
well.
he's got a little bit of
A
Houdini
little
going on.
fright, yeah, a little fright there for that top group. It's
You know, I know
Fody
we're
and
under green, but we
Stanley
do
still doing a
have,
great job.
We do have someone in the infield care center, and his teammates are about to win the stage.
Yeah, Chris, why don't you go ahead and talk to the number 90, Scott Crump?
All right, we are still under green, but Scott, we thought we'd bring you up and help us call the end of the stage here with your teammates sitting out here 1, 2, 3 on the top lane.
Yeah, I figured I'd come up here and talk to y'all. It's pretty much the only way I can talk to y'all from now on, I guess, the way my luck's been going.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about what your outlook was for the race and what happened over there in 3 and 4 in that big accident.
Well, it was just pretty much nowhere to go. It's just the 2 lanes are deadlocked. I don't know. I felt like I was in a good spot. I drifted up a little bit, but not much. And looked like he got a little loose at the top, came down. And then it looked like it was about 1.5 feet of net code that ultimately just turned us and took out a bunch of people for nothing. So, yeah, that's pretty much how my season's been going.
Yeah, and I know it's not what you want. Is Ethan Stanley, here they come. This is the end of the stage. Stanley's going to pull down. He's going to pass Tyler Fody, but it's going to be a Lake Norman 1, 2, 3 at the end of stage 1. So what does your role become now, Scott, for the rest of this race?
Nothing. Just be a cheerleader or get off here and take care of my kids and hang out with them.
Well, all right, Scott, we will let you get to whatever you got to get to. But real quick before we do, we know that your Stay Tuned Sports podcast has been the Truck Series partner for a couple seasons, and that I'm guessing is going away. Are you guys going to be back in any kind of way as a partner next season? And who else do you have to think or want to talk about here before we let you jump out?
This will be a secondary sponsor, so we're on my cars and stuff. Give a shout out to Lake Norman. Hopefully they can continue this 1, 2, 3. They definitely have to work together. If they do that, they should be able to bring it on home 1, 2, 3. Hopefully, give a shout out to my grandfather watching, and give a shout out to y'all at the Broadcast booth, and let y'all get back to the race here.
All right, Scott, thanks for your time, and it's unfortunate the way that this race ended, but we know it'll be no time at all, and you'll find your way back to the front and be talking to us on a weekly basis.
That was Scott Crump, driver of the number 90 machine. Unfortunately, his night is over. He's going to come home in the 35th position, as we saw Ethan Stanley take stage number 1. Justin Wadsworth now scored as the race leader, but looks like Ethan going to have a good run up on the high side and lead here on lap number 44. Let's take a look at that second grouping here. Currently leading the way back here is Ethan Burrell. He's got Matthew Weeks behind him, William White, John Cutlip, Jared Rexing, all involved in this second group.
Jesse Racimus just got sideways off of 2. He's going to drop all the way to the back of this pack now.
Yeah, tires going away there for Jesse. Jesse and Joe are the 2 guys that have not pit as of yet. Jeff Ryan as well, who scored way back in the field in position number
Chad,
26. Frankenfield
Chad
going a lap down.
Hood,
He's still going to find a way to go 3 wide. Seth Rawls is going to go on the bottom. That is Joe Francis.
Hey, I got a question. Can we ride on board with Seth Rawls? Because that right front looks like it's turned out pretty good. I think he might be having some toe issues in that 25 machine. Oh, yeah.
That car's seen better days.
Yeah, I saw that right front, and it looked like it was turned pretty good, so I kind of thought we might see this when we came on board.
Yeah, you can see it, that the orange line on the top of the wheel showing that it is not situated in the... Oh, my gosh, look at it push through the corner. Seth Rawls, poor guy right there, Rocket Man. He's having to battle that race car here tonight. Chad's car looking absolutely destroyed too.
That's one of them right front tires that it'll be lucky if it makes it a full green flag run if he ever has to run that.
Goody gonna go another lap down. Let's see if I can get a good view of it. It's the right front you mentioned? Ooh, things are getting crazy there.
Right here in the 3, you'll see it.
Oh, shoot. Well, hold on. Let's take a look at this first. Is group number 2 going to come on by?
Now, this is dangerous. I don't know if those guys in group number 2 know exactly what that car is doing.
Yeah, group number 2, like Ethan Burrell, they're all but there. They're coming up on the 2 guys with no tires, and it'll be just a few laps, I think, before they get to that top 5.
And I'm going to tell you, these guys with no tires, they're starting to think about a pit stop here in the next 10 or 12 laps or so.
You definitely would think that they're probably getting there on fuel. I'm not sure if you were able to get fuel numbers here tonight, Chris Wright, but we got to be getting fairly close on that fuel gauge.
Yeah, I was told about 55 to 60, so those guys that have not visited...
So they could probably go to 65 or so based off of cautions then.
Yeah, and if they have to pit under green here, that is... You might not think it, but this would be worse than a green flag pit stop.
Oh, someone's dropping way down. Who was that? Not sure who just dropped way down to the apron back there. Somebody, anyways.
The guys that pitted under that last caution have anywhere from probably around 46 to 48 laps of gas left, depending on where they've been at in the pack.
But I will tell you, this is going to be the most detrimental green flag stop because you have to run through 3 and 4 on the apron.
Yeah, you're essentially dropping down right here. Actually, maybe even prior to that, to get to pit road here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So you're working your way down rather early and a lot slower than the guys still out there on the racetrack. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for Joe Francis and Jesse Racimus to come down pit road. Racimus all the way back to 13th, now about to drop to 14th with Michael Hosick taking a look to his inside. So old tires definitely falling away here for these guys. Shout out again to Gavin Higgins, man. He's up 30 spots on the day, up to the 5th position. He's with that first group, but these secondary guys are coming as well. Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks, William White, John Cutlip, and Jared Rexing. The rest of the top 10.
It'll be interesting to see where they decide to go. They've got all the momentum with them right now, but once they get even with those guys, they might not be able to make it in the line that they choose.
And they're dealing with traffic, but it looks like after this car here, the
That's
traffic
Brett
should be
Baldeck
for a
down on
while.
the inside lane. As we're riding on board with Ethan Burrell, you saw a bit of a wiggle there out of the Gavin Higgins machine. Burrell leading group number 2. They've caught the tail of that front pack. Brett Baldeck taking it to pit lane off of turn number 4. And they're going to go to the high side, but Burrell going to have to do it solo. He's lost
And
his
Group 2's
partner.
lost a bunch of cars too. If you look behind them, that was one big line. Now it's just a few cars. You know, handling has came into play even
Now,
for the guys who pitted, and
Chris,
some guys have fallen off.
I know you probably just saw it. John Cutlip had a bit of a blink there. Gotta wonder potentially what that's done to that lane that they had going as well. Maybe guys checking up just a little bit, getting a bit spooked by the poor connection on that 5 machine. That usually does come into play on these super speedways.
Now, I believe every time you blink, you get 1% of your tire back and 1 more horsepower.
Jeez. Brett Jones, are you watching? If so, you got lots of horsepower on Wednesday nights. Oh, Ethan Stanley. He's catching it. Higgins down to the apron as well. Wow. These guys just got all loosey-goosey up here inside that top 5. Now we got chaos in this front pack.
Yeah, and now we've got...
Trey
Now they
Holmes
were-
has arrived on scene. This is early for Holmes to be up here.
And then out of nowhere, William White is the car that has passed Ethan Burrell and has gotten himself up into the top 5.
Oh,
Ooh.
Williams sideways down here.
Don't say it too quick, Josh. He's not looking good right now. As William White
Seems like it
sideways.
might be my job tonight.
Seems like every time we look at a grouping, something happens.
And see, here's what I think has happened. These guys were all lined up trying to work together. Everybody up front wasn't trying to be too crazy racy. And so they didn't really feel the tire wear going away until they started racing, and they were like, oh, I don't have the grip that I had back on that restart or back on that first run. So I think they
White
are kind of surprised. by the
twitching
lack of grip
again.
that they got.
William White's really struggling with this race car right now. It has kicked out on him a couple times. It looks like we're going to go 3 wide. I don't know how much I like that. When you got that 43 and the 20 both that have been battling the handling of this car. Is, by the way, new leader,
and
Johnny
Matthew
Thomas.
Weeks.
Here comes
Matthew Weeks
Weeks
making a
on the
move.
inside. He's got Cutlip behind him. Burrell there as well. The Pro Edge trio has arrived. They've got Johnny Thomas just up the road from them. Ethan Stanley nearly into the outside wall. Tyler Fode, Matthew Weeks almost making contact there as Weeks going to push Thomas down the front straightaway towards turn number 1. Stanley with a blink on the high side. The Blue Egg Marketing number 91 machine going to have a brief moment here as Thomas on the inside. He's going to lose some momentum here. Looking for a push as Lake Norman going to go 3 deep up top once again. Tyler Fode drops down. Johnny Thomas there. Ethan Stanley gets a bit sideways. He's still battling that car. Gathers it up. Weeks on the inside of Stanley. Thomas clears to the high side as things are absolutely chaotic here. Working lap number 59. Michael Goodman just up the road from these race leaders. This could get interesting as he now goes 4 laps down. He drops to the inside lane. By the way, Brett Baldeck has called it a day as
I'm
well.
going to tell you, Johnny is really struggling with rear grip right now.
Let's go on
You see,
board
the guy
with
that-
Johnny Thomas.
The guy that I like watching is the 11 of Matthew Weeks. He kind of shot out of a cannon when some of those other guys got loose around William White a few laps ago. You know, we saw him make that big 3 wide dive bomb to the bottom, and I haven't seen that right rear get loose one time. He really took care of it. He understands what he's got under him.
This
that
entire
Cowboy
front
behind me?
grouping is all incredibly experienced, guys. They've been there in a lot of these big races. They've won most of them, and there's a lot of championships up here as well. So these guys definitely know what they're doing. As you see Ethan Stanley once again getting loose behind the Johnny Thomas machine. So tires maybe hitting that plateau
I think
here.
Johnny's looking to get out. Johnny's really struggling.
Yeah,
I think he's.
Yeah,
looking
there's
to
no
get out.
Oh, Trey Holmes. Nearly contact. He's down on the apron, gathers it back up. That's going to be a huge loss there for Trey Holmes. As, you know, you mentioned Johnny Thomas trying to get out. He might have an opportunity here behind Jared Rexing, but Ethan Stanley still behind him. Johnny's kind of stuck up there.
Oh, yeah, contact between the teammates up front.
He's going to
Weeks
save it,
goes
though.
through the grass. William White going to make some contact as well. It's getting crazy, boys.
Looks like maybe both of them just got a little bit loose off of turn 4, and they kind of just got into each other. Maybe Weeks might have gotten a little bit more loose than Cutlip did.
See if we can grab a quick look at this one. Matthew Weeks, the car we're watching down on the inside. That's the number 11 machine.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I think Weeks bobbles a little bit.
Weeks
and
definitely
then-
bobbles off of turn 4 there, nearly into the side of the John Cutlip machine, and potentially some netcode coming into play as well. He's going to go down through the grass, but back live here, it's John Cutlip leading the way. Tyler Fody, Ethan Burrell battling it out for second. Gavin Higgins, Johnny Thomas there in 4th and 5th as Burrell nearly into the door of the Tyler Fody machine. Cutlip going to bobble on exit as well. 64 laps in the books, 100 laps to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series.
One thing to remember here is Jesse Racines and some of those guys that stayed out. They are going to have to pit soon, and they have to pit going into 3.
I'd like to say, Matthew Weeks, if you watch this back, I apologize for saying how good you looked, but I think that 11, he'll still get back up to the front and give these guys a run by the end of the race.
Well, one good thing for Matthew Weeks is he's looking out that rear view mirror and he sees the 88 of Trey Holmes behind him. So he's got a friend there to work with, try to work their way back up towards the pack at least. I think it's going to be hard to get back up to the front. Obviously, they're about 7 seconds behind the field, but at least they can work together to try to stay on the lead lap. I have no doubts we're going to see another caution at some point, especially being the cutoff before the playoffs. These guys, especially those on the outside looking in, are going to be pushing very, very hard.
Yeah, and all the ill handling we've seen within the last 10 or 15 laps or so, these guys still have about 30 laps or so left on a tank of fuel, so we could see some more guys fall out of this lead pack.
Did I just hear William call out that he was pitting? Maybe not. Maybe he told somebody I could save. I think Johnny got pretty sideways on his outside, and
Yeah, William definitely wouldn't be pitting yet. He only pit 40 laps ago with the race leaders and pretty much everyone else except for Jesse Racines, Jeff Ryan and company, somebody else as well. Joe Francis also still on that old strategy.
yeah, and those guys are going to have to be coming to pit road.
They
pretty
got to
quick.
be working their way down shortly. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jesse potentially come down within the next 2 to 3 laps.
Ooh, Ethan Burrell got sideways up there underneath Fody.
Seeing another guy to watch up here, we got to talk to Jared Rexing post-race last week, and he talked to Chris about how he's having fun coming back to the stock car side of things. He's put himself up in the top 5, getting through all the chaos we've seen.
Jared's a cool guy. He runs on the IndyCar side for my Mountain Man Motorsports team, and he's done a great job there this season in the races he's been able to run, and it's always good to see him back out here in these heavy stock cars, doing a great job in the number 10 Nesquik machine. And there's a couple of those guys that have made the return from the open wheel side this season and have done a really good job here so far.
Yeah, it's always good to see guys come back to the better racing, if I do say so myself.
I think IndyCar's great racing as well. Those guys put on a great show. Gary and his crew over there, they put on a great broadcast every Thursday night as well in the Warriors for
Hey,
Peace
boys,
Open
we
Wheel
gotta
Series. But what do we
add
got?
the lap cars that these leaders are catching. They're going to be to him here real quick.
Jeff Ryan, Tommy Ryan, Pork Chop, Corey Abbott in that grouping, and then there's a bit of a gap up to Andrew Hardcastle. This will be interesting to see what happens. Let's watch from the high
Yeah,
side.
I'd say this isn't as easy as Daytona or Talladega. We've got handling in play, coming up on 3 slow cars, and
Oh, and
those
Goodwin's
guys
on the
are all over
bottom
the
up here in
place.
front of him, too.
Goody's likely to drop to the apron. He's done that pretty much the whole race here so far. And yeah, he's going to do it again. Michael Goodman now, I believe, 4 laps down. 6-lap rule, of course, still in effect for Michael Goodman. Actually, that's 5 down, so he's got 1 lap to go. Is not likely to come to an end here shortly, unfortunately, as I think that's William White that just had a major step out. No, that was actually Justin Wadsworth that's going to step out, but gathers it back
here comes
up.
Jesse. Here comes Jesse. He's going to show everybody how to do pit road right here.
There you go. We'll keep an eye on this one. And one thing to keep in mind, if those drivers clip that red line, that's a penalty. So we'll keep our eyes on this one. Jesse Racines coming down pit lane. He's going to get it down to speed, work his way into his pit box. I'm going to call it now. We're probably going to see this car, Joe Francis, come down this lap. I would kind of hope Jeff Ryan coming down this time.
Ryan coming down, and Chad's getting lapped again out here in front of these leaders, and he's probably going to stay on the racetrack.
100%.
Yeah, Jonathan Gillip had a little bit of a moment last
New
lap.
leader, Jared Rexing.
Got right under
this is tight.
inside.
Yeah, I'd like to see the lap car get a little bit out of the way there for everybody, a little bit better than that.
So Chad nearly gets hit there by William White. The 15 is holding that bottom lane. He didn't move up much, but still a bit of a sketchy moment there for the race leaders as they went on by. Now we're 3 wide, by the way. Tyler Fode on top, Jared Rexing in the middle, Ethan Burrell on the bottom. Your race leader is John Cutlip. Is Rexing really battling that up? Wow. He clears. That was sketchy.
And then, as you guys were reacting to Jared Rexing, William White was right there in the middle of the racetrack getting really loose himself, too. He almost came down into the 6.
What lap is the next stage? What do we got going to?
We're 6 laps from the stage. So stage comes at the end of lap number 80, and then we go green to the... Well, we're going to stay green anyways. Then we go right to the end of the race. As you see some battles up here. Ethan Burrell ahead of Gavin Higgins on the bottom. Now he's got Tyler Fode looking for the lead on John Cutlip. This is a good one. Joe Francis, there he goes. He comes down pit road.
The stage end, all these leaders will pit.
Yeah, definitely at least around that point. And by the way, Chad Frankenfield has been able to tack on to this grouping, so he's still there. His speed might not be as bad as we think. I believe Chad's 2 laps down at this point.
I think he's really bad if they had fresher tires.
100%.
These guys are lifting so much. Chad probably is still running pretty close to wide open.
Oh, no doubt on that, and definitely some pretty severe damage for Chad Frankenfield on that number 15 machine. We'll see if he's able to repair it a little bit more throughout the event. If we do get more cautions, I'm assuming we will, as this one does go along. You see Ethan Burrell giving a big shove there to John Cutlip down on the bottom. Tyler Fode has Jared Rexing behind him. Gavin Higgins, Ethan Stanley, Justin Wadsworth, Johnny Thomas, William White, Leighton Norgard, the top 10. As this race has kind of taken on a weird vibe. You've got the top 10 that have pulled away from everybody else. I guess top 11 because Michael Hossack's there as well. Then you got a good chunk back to Weeks and Holmes. Then you're quite a bit back to Frank Fode, Kyle Hanshaw, Tate Lytle, Dave Carpenter, Mark Rebilas. Shout out to Mark and Rebilas Photography for coming on board this season and next for the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. As once again coming to 3 laps to go in the stage.
Yeah, and these guys are starting to get more and more sideways, starting to struggle more and more. They're ready for 4 new shoes.
We got Julian Altina and Nick Massey chatting over in the YouTube chat. Nick Massey saying that he's cheering for Johnny Thomas tonight, and Julian Altina, he's feeling the vibes.
Well, Johnny fell to the back of this pack because he started really struggling with handling.
He's still looking good, though. He's still in that top 10.
Hanging on. He needs some new tires. 2 to go in the stage. Blake Norman took 1, 2, 3 in the first stage. I don't see that scenario playing out this stage.
No, that'd be really tough, I think. You'll probably see Pro Edge take maybe 2 of those top 3 spots.
And we got Hardcastle. They're going to come up on a lap car right here down the front stretch.
And Hardcastle looks like he's taking that top lane. They'll most likely get him either through turns number 1 and 2 or down the back straight away.
Oh, Fody with the move, so they're going to be too wide when they get to Hardcastle.
And keep in mind, Cutlip's had a bit of bobbles here throughout the last little while as their leaders very quickly catch up to Andrew Hardcastle. He's going to slide back down the back straight away. You see Stanley and Wadsworth closing in on that fight again, though, as Andrew Hardcastle into the wall. Jared Rexing in the middle. Leighton Norgard going through the grass. He's going to keep it under power as Tyler Fody leads. Yeah, Tyler Fody took the stage. Ethan Burrell, John Cutlip, the rest of your top 3. Gavin Higgins, Ethan Stanley, the top 5.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're at the halfway point in this one. This has been a pretty good race here so far. We've seen quite a few different leaders, which is what you normally see on the super speedways. We've seen Pro Edge and Lake Norman pretty much up where they belong at the front of the field each and every week, and they're doing it again here tonight. But Gavin Higgins, one of those guys that has put on a great race here so far. Up in the, well, as I say that, he gets sideways. Of course,
I'm
Gavin.
tell you guys something right now that we haven't been keeping up with. If they make a green flag stop, Jesse Racimas pitted with 2 lap cars. They lined up, and they are making lap times faster than the leader. So they, like in all likelihood, have been making faster lap times. Jesse's probably going to have a sizable lead here on the other side of pit stops if it goes through this green flag cycle.
Jesse's still a lap and a half down, though.
Yeah, but if everybody else pits under green,
he should get a lap back. I don't know that he'll take the lead. I think he'll probably be in the top 10, though, based off of the pace that he's gotten. We'll see when these guys opt to come down. What are you thinking, Chris? When do you think we're going to have the first bite?
Well, I thought they would already be pitting. I thought we would be seeing it already, so I'm kind of surprised they haven't. I mean, what do you guys think? You know, Josh has been pretty quiet for a while. Josh, when would you be pitting?
Yeah, I have to imagine these guys don't want to go to the end of the fuel cell, so I'd say within the next 5 or 10 laps, I think we'll see a lot of these guys start to pit.
I mean, 5 or 10 laps, we're looking at the end of the fuel cell, right? And I believe Goody just got laps for the 6th time.
Yeah, Michael Goodman did just fall 6 laps down, and he is reporting to pit road. So unfortunately, night over for Michael Goodman. The next car at risk of that is Seth Rawls, who currently finds himself 3 laps down to the race leaders. I think he should be A-okay, though. As John Cutlip falling back, I wonder, potentially, is he looking for his pit partner or just really battling that race car at this point?
Yeah, I'm
into the wall. He had contact there with Jared Rexing, and that's going to bring Cutlip to pit road here, deep between turns number 3 and 4. So
I think that's going to be a penalty too because of how he entered pit road.
Yeah, he definitely didn't enter in turn 3, which is what the procedure was here tonight for these drivers. But we'll see if that did bring a black flag. We'll wait for an update from race control Josh Adams on that procedure, as William White absolutely kicking it sideways right there.
I believe that's going to be a pass-through. I think that's what the penalty is. It's a pass-through. The 5's definitely going to have to serve a pass-through. I think he blew a tire going into 3. That's my opinion.
Wow.
I think the 5 blew a tire.
I've blown a tire here on the old version of this racetrack and just flipped over by myself off of turn number 2. This racetrack was always crazy. Now it's even crazier. As it's Fody, Burrell, Stanley, Higgins, and White, the top 5. Thomas, Wadsworth, Rexing, Hosick, and Weeks, your top 10, followed by Trey Holmes, Leighton Norgard, Tate Lytle, Kyle Hanshaw, Frank Fody, top 15. Dave Carpenter, Dustin Doer, Mark Rebilas, Connor Thompson, Tommy Ryan, the top 20. Everyone else pretty much finding themselves a lap or more down at this point, including Andrew Hardcastle, Corey Abbott, Joe Francis, Jesse Racimas, John Cutlip, Chad Frankville, Jeff Ryan, and Seth Rawls. Everyone else out of today's event. as you see Cutlip leaving his box.
That's his drive-through. He's doing his drive-through now.
Yeah, it's
So very
unfortunate there.
unfortunate for Cutlip.
The race isn't over per se, but it's going to be tough.
The one time I picked John Cutlip, he goes out here and he blows.
I'm
the tire.
shocked these guys are still out here. We're coming to lap number 90, and these guys have not come down pit road since lap number 26. So we're about 60 plus laps since the last restart that these drivers have stayed out here on the racing surface.
I think they might be coming soon. All these guys are getting single filed out at the front.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on them, see when they opt to come down. Tyler Fode, he's hanging on the bottom. I think they might be coming down this time. No, they're staying out.
Not yet.
Wow.
I've just noticed that everybody's getting to the bottom except for Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley's going to dig on this top side.
And when they do decide to pit, I hope they don't all try and come the same lap, because I don't think we've done that in terms of a group at this track before. That could be a mess.
I believe you're right, Josh. I don't think we've seen a mass green flag pit stop for these guys. That'll be really interesting, especially having to work that apron as well. That kind of changes things a little bit.
Yeah, because some guys might have practiced it and know that you can run through there pretty hard. Some guys,
I would
this
hope
might be
so.
the first time. You know, some guys didn't practice it. Some guys don't practice stuff like that. They don't think about it. They don't do something like that. So if they didn't practice it, they're going to probably be overcautious. And
Some of them don't
there's
practice
3,
at all.
4 Yeah, some don't practice at all. And there's 3, 4, 5 seconds that can be gained or lost down there coming to pit road. And even the guys that did practice it, yeah, I gotta think these guys have got to be coming.
You know, Robert, Nick might have the inside scoop here at the track, but I just want to know, has Nick ran into Tyler Wong to see if they're all leaving the track?
Tyler Wong is still here. He's still watching. Shout out to you, Tyler Wong, Chad's #1 fan.
He's probably got a
chilling
VIP
here.
suite right under us here in the booth.
Oh, yeah. He's got everything he wants at these elite races. So Fode,
second
Burrell,
back.
Higgins leading the way. What do
here
you
we
got?
go. Here we go.
Bidders.
And this is
No.
where Josh has got his work cut out for him.
We
because
got
he's gotta make sure
Pit
Fode-
Here
gotta
comes
make sure
Weeks
Fode
coming
doesn't mess
down.
up.
Norgard as well. But Fode came alone. He had no friends
I
coming
think
with
that's
him.
what I'd want to do. That's what I'd want to do.
I mean, it's safer.
You come alone.
Yeah, Weeks and Norgard came together as Burrell, Higgins, and Rexing still out there leading the way. We'll see if anyone opts to come down this time, and they do not. They're going to stay out there, keep us racing hard up front as Tate Lytle, Frank Fode, Kyle Hanshaw, Dustin Dewar, Dave Carpenter, they all hit pit lane. That was the rest of group number 2. As now just 11 cars remain on the lead lap. Connor Thompson going to be the last of those drivers still out there on the lead lap.
And here's why I would pit by myself. This is what I think. You're going to be faster than the pack on fresh tires. Even this
Here
isn't
they
like
come.
Daytona or Talladega. And you can see they're not going through there near as fast as Fode. These guys are way slower.
Burrell,
than Fode.
Higgins, Stanley, William White also coming down. I believe Trey
We got
Holmes.
Stanley hitting Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins just went up on the track. I think that's going to be a pass through for Higgins.
Oh, he got help.
Yeah, he got help, so that definitely wouldn't be a penalty on Gavin Higgins. Maybe something for Ethan Stanley, giving him a bit of assistance, but that's about it. As out front, Jared Rexing, he's coming down. Justin Wadsworth going to stay out on the racetrack, as will Mark Rebilas. Well, Rebilas about a lap down here. So Justin Wadsworth, your race leader. Jared Rexing, he's going to enter his pit lane this time. Johnny Thomas, Michael Hosick right there as well. Ethan Burrell going to be the driver to win the race off of pit lane. We got to keep an eye on this. Here comes Tyler Fody working his way towards turn number 1. Ethan Burrell coming off of turn number 2. I believe, yeah, there's Tyler Fody. He's going to go by. So Fody wins the pit cycle here at this point. But we'll keep our eyes on Johnny Thomas, Michael Hosick, and company.
Who's going to be second to Fody and third?
This is the race
Joe
that
Francis,
Chris
Jesse
was looking at
Rasimus.
earlier. Got Joe Francis and Jesse Rasimus both in between Fody
Yeah, good
and
call,
Ethan
Chris.
Burrell.
Good call.
I wouldn't
we
give
still have
Chris,
guys.
too big of a pat on the back. He thought Jesse was going to be leading the race.
Keep in mind here, by the way, there's still 43 seconds between Justin Wadsworth and Tyler Fody. Let's see how quick of a stop Wadsworth can get here. He's going to lose the lead. I have no doubt in that, but we'll see where he comes out in the field. Ethan Burrell, by the way, has fallen all the way back to that 8th position, so I thought he had a great stop, but maybe not as Justin Wadsworth leaves pit road. Here comes Tyler Fody as he's going to easily take that lead.
Clean on the pit stops? Is there any rulings?
Yeah, I didn't see anything crazy. You know, this isn't something I don't think we've ever gotten to in terms of a green flag stop at Atlanta, so I think everybody was clean. Even the instance with the 91, you know, we haven't had enough trial runs at that to know if how exactly we're supposed to call that, but nobody wrecked. Everybody stayed clean, so all good outside of the 5 car.
Well, guys, pit cycle is completed. 100 laps in, 64 to go. We're going to step aside here on the Elite Racing Network. When we come back, we'll take you to the conclusion of tonight's Atlanta 250. Don't go anywhere.
Of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the...
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Johnny Thomas leads the way. Tyler Fody, Jared Rexing, Ethan Burrell, Gavin Higgins. Your top 5 you just heard from some of our great partners there just a moment ago. And joining them is Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. And of course, 4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D sim racing shoes are custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, while still providing all the comfort needed for the double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the original racing gloves for your feet. Chris Wright, what's going on down there on the racetrack?
Our leaders have caught a group of lap cars running 2x2, and I think if I had to guess, it is by design that they're running like this. And now this is when your anxiety's at its highest. You got lappers out here. They're kind of trying to hold you up. They're trying to stay on the lead lap. They're doing the best that they can do. You're just hoping to kind of pick your way through them if you're Johnny and you're Fody and you're anybody in this front group, really. You're just trying to make sure that you don't get wrecked trying to pass these guys.
You see Tate Lytle there out front of the field. Frank Fody and Kyle Hanshaw there with him as well. These guys trying to stay on the lead lap. Dustin Dorr, Mark Rebilas up in this grouping as well. That's Johnny Thomas looking three
Johnny
wide in the middle.
Three there.
I don't know, man. That's tough.
Frank chopped him off and said, "You're not going to go through the middle three on me." I think if I'm Frank, you got to be ready for that. You do not want to chop the leader.
No, definitely don't want to chop the leader. It doesn't typically end well. As just taking a quick look here, we got Seth Rawls now. He finds himself 4.5 laps down. He's the next driver to hit that 6 lap ruling, but looks like he's going to be okay for the time being. 54 laps to go. And it's still 2x2, 2 lanes deep ahead of your race leaders, as Johnny Thomas still leads the way. He's just looking for an opportunity to get by, but Tate Lytle and Frank Fody not really making it easy for him here.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting thing that we don't see a whole lot. We've got 3 races within one
Dustin
single
Dewar
race.
checks up the inside lane. Checks them up bad.
Yeah, we've got 3 separate races going on up here at the front. We've got the 3 guys on the tail end. We've got the leaders trying to race for the lead. And we've got guys trying to race for the lucky dog, all in the same pile right here.
I think Kyle's lost his help. He's going to really struggle here down the backstretch.
Well, we just hope it doesn't turn into a pile out front of the field, which is quite possible, as you see Ethan Stanley navigating his way through now. Mark Rebilas, Gavin Higgins, and Tommy Ryan going to be 3 wide. William White going to take a look through the middle there as well, as Tate Lytle still holding that top spot ahead of Frank Fody in the lap traffic game anyways, as Johnny Thomas now has Tyler Fody behind him. Frank drops down to the inside. Tyler going to get up to the rear end of Johnny Thomas. Tate going to come up and try to block off that run. Johnny gives him a bit of a shunt down there into turn number 3. As John Cutlip, another one of those lap cars. And actually, I believe he's only 1 lap down now. So not in too bad of a spot for John Cutlip.
Yeah, boys, that storm's brewing. The storm's brewing up front.
Oh, you
here.
could feel it. You could hear the thunder rumbling in the background as Johnny Thomas trying to get cleared, man.
Need to get Chris Wright out there in his armored tank to go and chase this thing.
Tate having to do some blocking there down there, trying to stay on the lead lap. Tate was being super aggressive, trying to stay in front of Johnny Thomas. Couldn't pull it off.
And keep in mind,
3 wide behind him.
Tate's one of those locked in guys, so not really having to do too much to get himself in a playoff spot here tonight. So he's just out trying to keep himself on the lead lap, give himself an opportunity to snag a win, maybe get some playoff points here entering the playoffs. As you see Jared Rexing working his way up through the field. He's 3 wide now with Tyler Fody and Kyle Hanshaw. Hanshaw lap down. That's your battle for second between Rexing and Fody.
We're 3x3. This is not going to work, boys. This is not going to work very long.
Yeah,
it can work until those tires go away. it can work, but eventually those tires will go away. As Jared Rexing nearly into that left rear of Tate Lytle. That's something to keep an eye on too. If a bump goes wrong, it'll get sketchy. As here comes Stanley up through the middle. There goes Franklin.
Oh, wow.
So
I'll tell you
Frank
what happened
Fody
there.
gonna lose. Kyle Hanshaw gonna lose. Wow.
Tate Lytle got a big run and was trying to go inside of the leader, and the leader blocked him,
Oh!
and it forced the whole lane to check out.
Contact between Johnny Thomas and Tate Lytle. And one thing to keep an eye on here, we're 3 wide. Seth Rawls is right here as well. So we're going to catch some lap traffic while having these 3 wide battles throughout the field.
Yeah, I get
Oh,
racing,
man.
but if you're a lap car like Tate Lytle,
This is going to end
probably
right
will
here.
run into the leaders.
This is not going to go well. As well, I might have been wrong. It looks like we're okay. So Jared Rexing now your leader. Johnny Thomas, Ethan Stanley side by side for second and third. Gavin Higgins trying to get cleared of Tyler Fody. Now to the inside of Johnny Thomas. William White, Ethan Burrell there as well. Burrell coming up through the middle. He's got John Cutlip on the outside of him. So you got your lead lap guys, and then a couple of lap cars mixed in with Tate Lytle, John Cutlip, and Tommy Ryan up here at the front of the field. Lytle, the first car, 1 lap down.
Yeah, and Cutlip out here, he's on way older tires, so I don't think Cutlip's going to be a factor in this battle too awful much. You see him trying to pass Tate right now with the big run, and he is just sliding all over the place. So I think Cutlip's struggling more than everybody else right now.
Yeah, definitely those old tires not helping the John Cutlip case here, as we're about 45 laps to go in this one. Jared Rexing still your race leader. First side-by-side battle is Johnny Thomas and Gavin Higgins. It's Higgins on the bottom, Thomas on the high side. William White is Tyler Fody with him. John Cutlip and Ethan Burrell. Tate Lytle and Michael Hosick. Hosick's having a good run up in the 8th spot. He's one of those drivers that is still technically alive in the playoff fight, but he's got to win to get himself into those playoffs.
Well, I got a question for you guys here, and it's for both of you.
Yeah.
So if it goes green, you're probably going to want to split this thing up and pit about lap 130, right? 135. But could you take that chance? If a caution comes out, you know, it could be detrimental to your race. And I'm hearing some guys say they're 2 to 4 laps short, so they might try to save. So
That's
what
tough.
is the strategy play that you guys would be out here?
I'm going to let Josh answer this one first.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I feel like if you're going to be making that play, like like a Tyler Reddick or a Denny Hamlin, like we saw on Sunday, you're going to want to make
guys,
sure you
this is
get
gonna be bad.
some help.
Oh,
Yep.
let's get in the
That's
lead.
all.
Johnny Thomas, Ethan Burrell.
Yep, I saw that
Mark
coming.
Rebilas.
Jeff Ryan and Andrew Hardcastle got together. Sorry, Josh, we'll get back to your point here. Well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore as the caution flag's out. But, yeah, that was bad. So Jeff Ryan making contact there with Andrew Hardcastle up on the high side. Gonna kick
Yeah,
off the
these
side of the
lappers were running too
22.
wide.
Gavin Higgins. Gavin was having a phenomenal run here tonight. That sucks for him. Johnny Thomas, same thing. These guys both going to get collected in this wreck. Ethan Burrell, Mark Rebilas, they're going to get a piece of that. Tommy Ryan, I think, got involved as well. Oh, good job by Connor
I gotta tell
Thompson
you.
avoiding that, but that sucks.
Lap cars have been really disrespectful to the leaders tonight.
Yeah, Chris, tell us how you feel about that.
I think if you're a lap car, it's one thing to race the leaders, but when you start trying to manipulate it to get side by side as a group or like those two lappers were side by side, and we've seen on Sundays, everybody's seen Ross Chastain do it, and that's the team that does it the most, him and Daniel Suarez, and one of them gets wrecked. I feel like every super speedway is trying to do that. I think you got to be more heads up than that. You don't get out here and try to manipulate the lines and manipulate the runs to keep the leaders trapped behind you because, you're a lap down. You're going a lap down. If you want to race them. But what this 35 did right here is just a joke. It's ridiculous. And I
Just
believe we've
so
got Johnny in
unfortunate.
the care center.
I hate
I
this.
would've-
I hate this for Johnny Thomas. Yeah, Chris, go ahead and pull Johnny Thomas in. We'll have his replay up on the screen.
We are now joined by Johnny Thomas. Johnny, you were having a great run tonight. Talk to us about what happened.
Yeah, man. This is the B car series, right? So second best as far as the elite in the Cup Series. And there's guys that don't even belong in ARCA that's out there tonight. This is real racing, man. This is real plate racing, like 90s Daytona. The cars are a handful. It's a blast. I haven't had this much fun in a plate track or a track in general in a long, long time. The talent rose to the crop, or what's the saying? Yeah, the cream rises to the top. Man, I'm so frustrated. I don't know what these guys were doing. They 35 car, I think, hit the wall.
Talk to me about all the lap cars. I feel like all the lap cars I just
yeah,
edit,
man.
they were kind
They're
of being
just-
really disrespectful to the leader.
They're awful, man. I mean, I know everybody pays money to be in this league, but we need a vetting process, and ARCA's free, thanks to Robert. And go down there and race because that's pathetic. They were so slow today and all over the place. Some people go low, some people go high. Nobody had a rhyme or reason behind it. And yeah, I felt like I had a car to win. The best plate guys were up front. Stanley, Fody, Rexing is amazing at plate tracks. And I felt like I was racing by those guys. It felt like the days of old, back in the 2020s, 21, 22. But man, I don't race this series full time, so I shouldn't be too mad. But I've been in this league for long enough that you gotta, when you're 18 laps down, you got to be respectful. And I guarantee you, when these guys race up front, if they ever race up front, they're usually in the back. I'm not going to be respectful towards them. So it sucks, man.
All right, Johnny, real quick before we let you jump out of here, are there any sponsors you want to thank, shout out you want to give?
Yeah, you guys are awesome on Monday nights. Belly Up Sports, I'm sure I got people watching. Maybe my dad probably watching. But yeah, just those guys and you to keep this going, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Johnny, congrats on the run tonight. I know the finish isn't at all what you wanted, but they knew you were out here tonight, and we'll see you next week and on Wednesday night in the Cup Series as well.
Yeah, another stupid road course, so we'll have fun.
All right, Johnny, good luck.
Yep.
Well, we are back under green, and Johnny is none too thrilled with some of the lap traffic out here tonight.
Johnny definitely not happy, and now we're going to have a word with the driver of the number 37, Ethan Burrell. Hey, Ethan, it's Robert up here in the booth. You get a copy, my friend?
Yeah, I gotcha.
What happened out there, buddy? That was a wild ride you guys took.
Yeah, it was just chaotic. We had a good long run there, but just the groups of lap cars just had no respect. I mean, it's just everyone was blocking up all the lines, and I don't know what caused the wreck, but it was just a big mess. I was very frustrating trying to navigate through the traffic and try to fight for the lead, but it's Atlanta.
Now, Chris Wright has been pretty vocal about his thoughts on the lap traffic here tonight. Johnny Thomas was as well. We just talked to him. Do you find that the lap cars have been maybe a little bit less respectful towards the leaders here today than usual?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know it's last race of the regular season. I know everyone's got a lot of the line, but I mean, they have the right to do that, but it's kind of more of just an etiquette and respect thing, and I didn't see much of that out there. I mean, there was individuals that did a good job, but yeah, it was just a mess.
And lucky enough for you, you were locked into the playoffs. What's your outlook going ahead into the playoffs and chasing that title?
Yeah, I was looking for some good momentum tonight. I was feeling pretty good, but we'll practice up for the Roval. I don't typically run very well there, so it might. I'm hoping for a good solid start.
And Chris, I think you had something for Ethan Burrell as well. What do you got, my friend?
Oh, man, it's just a good race for you tonight. Like I said to Johnny, you guys ran well. You're not going to get the finish you want, but I mean, just kind of echoing what you said. The lap cars. It's a different thing tonight that we don't typically see without a lap cars. They're already going a lap down. I think the time to race the way they were racing when they were getting lapped was before then. So maybe they didn't end up in that spot, but Nonetheless, it was a great run. We can't wait to see what you got in store for us in the playoffs, and of course, you're always a threat on Wednesdays as well. So can't wait to see you there.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
That was Ethan Burrell. Unfortunately for him, not going to get the result he was hoping for this evening. But a great run nonetheless here tonight for that number 37 machine. We wish him all the best in the playoffs. And Johnny Thomas with the conclusion of this schedule as well. Thanks for them giving us some time here tonight to talk about the race so far and the incidents they were involved in. But back up front here, Jared Rexing and Ethan Stanley battling it out for the top spot. Tyler Fody, William White, Justin Wadsworth, the rest of your top 5 at this point. Matthew Weeks, Leighton Norgard, Trey Holmes, Jesse Racimus, Michael Hosick, the top 10, as we've lost a lot of cars at this point.
Yeah, and we're down to, 35 to go, 34 to go. Fuel's no longer a question. Everybody's got pretty decent tires, so.
I say back to Johnny Thomas's interview. We heard him mention the vetting process. I can't help but stir the pot a little bit. I wonder if our multi-time champion Tate Lytle was in his vetting process tonight. Tate was one of the ones I would assume that Ethan said is doing a good job out there, but he was up there throwing blocks too.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like some of the new guys and some of the veterans, I do know this.
I mean,
if you're a lap car and Tate gets to you,
I'm gonna correct you here real quick, Chris. Though everybody out here is a veteran driver. Nobody's brand new to this series, so they should know better when racing with the lead lap cars.
Yeah, and Tate's one of those guys that he runs up at the front a lot, and he expects a little bit of respect as the leader, but then to go and pull some of the moves he was pulling tonight as a lap car, if somebody was doing that to him, Tate would not take to that very well. He would be very upset with the driver doing it.
I would say that Tate was definitely aggressive as a lap car, but he was definitely predictable on what he was going to do, at least compared to some of the other cars we've seen and some of what they've done so far. But yeah, no, I totally get that. As we're coming to 30 to go, hopefully lap cars don't come back into play.
I'd say he's definitely one of the ones we all trust out there. So yeah, if Tate's a lap down and I'm on the lead lap, I'll probably get frustrated. But one thing I will say, when he did throw that block on the 41, we almost saw the 41 wreck. So he wasn't completely clean.
No, and nobody was. Nobody was, but the one thing you said there was Tate's one of those guys that we all out there on the racetrack do trust for the most part. And it was just pretty wild out there. As you see William White pushing Jared Rexing down here on the bottom lane. Of course, these guys teammates on the open wheel side. Williams still seeking career victory number 1 here in the Elite Racing League. We'll see if maybe tonight's the night for the driver, the number 43.
And Matthew Weeks is made his way back up to the front. He's row 3 there on the bottom after that self-spin he had earlier.
And Williams, one of the guys that came through the ARCA ranks that has gotten better and better and better. He's also stepped into the broadcast role a little bit here, so I think it would be a pretty popular win within Elite if William could pull off the win tonight. Yeah,
I mean, long way to go. You could see somebody that's 2 laps down at this point still win the race with the way some of these super speedway races do end. But yeah, it would be cool to see Will win. And honestly, looking at this top 10, I'd be happy to see just about anybody up here take a victory tonight. They're all pretty likable guys. Obviously, some of them in there might be rivals to some of the others, more or less. But for the most part, everyone out here, pretty likable guys.
And I will tell you this, we've talked about him a little bit, and we've talked about Cutlip and his issues tonight too. Tate Lytle and John Cutlip, they can't probably win this race if it runs green to the end.
They're still in it, though.
If they get a caution and get to bolt on new tires and be matched up with everybody else, those two are going to be a factor in this finish.
As we're coming up on lap traffic, Chad Frankenfield going to go 5 laps down at this point. He'll stay on the racing surface, so forces a bit of 3 wide. Oh, that got a little sketchy right there. Frank Fody nearly into the side of Gavin Higgins as the kick in the tires machine gets kicked 5 laps down. That's one guy that's hoping to see another caution at some point in this one. Not because he's going to come back into the fight, but so he doesn't go 6 laps down and get parked.
We're wrecking Kyle Hanshaw.
Well, there we go. I just mentioned a potential for another caution, and well, there it is. Kyle Hanshaw going to go around, put us under caution with 25 laps to go. We'll take a look on the Rebilas photography replay machine. I'm going to back that up even further. Yeah, that's looking like a solo spin going to kick off there for Hanshaw.
I think that's tally 15.
Tyler Wong would definitely argue you on that one. That's going to be most likely tally 46. As I'd expect the whole field to come down at this point.
And what you guys didn't see there
do.
was the 15 throwing some kind of oil slick out the back of his car.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He threw it right at Kyle.
Some might say he was kicking the tires of the 46 machine. As the field does come down, yeah, they're going to work their way down. We'll step aside, take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll head to the conclusion of the Atlanta 250 in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. Don't go anywhere.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to WWTRaceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
And we're back here. Lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car. It's going to get set to hit pit lane here momentarily as we have a new race leader. William White leads the way ahead of Jared Rexing, Ethan Stanley, and Tyler Fody. And by the way, shout out to our viewers of Julian Altina, Nick Massey, Jay Connor, Harrison Talon, and neighbor Pete as we're back under green flag conditions. 22 laps to go here at Atlanta.
That's 2 tires on William White on that pit stop, by the way.
See, I don't know who neighbor Pete is, but shout out to Harrison Talon and the Boston Celtics. I need your boy Jason Tatum to get some 12 more points, so go give him a pep talk here, Harrison.
And William on his 2 tires is already backing up.
Yeah, he's got that
around.
Parachute launched here in that
I think
43
4 tires
machine.
was the call there, pitting from like what, the top 4 or 5 where he was running. I'm not real sure about 2 tires.
Oh, that's getting tight. William almost got hooked by Justin Wadsworth right there. Neighbor Pete is Gavin Higgins' shout out every week. I guess his neighbor named Pete tunes in and watches us, and shout out to you, Neighbor Pete.
We like Pete.
Josh, what do you think about 2 tires on the 21 car here, or on the 43 car?
I don't think I like it. You know, we've seen the handling and the tires go away all night. I don't know that I would have made a call like that this close to the end, because I feel like we've probably seen everybody's last pit stops at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure either about throwing a Hail Mary from the top 5 like that. I think if you were 10th or 12th and you wanted to see if you could get some track position, maybe. But, I mean, he could have taken 4 tires and restarted in the first 2 rows.
Now, I just want to point somebody out here that's worked his way back into the top 10. Tate Lytle, up to that 9th position. We saw him in a bit of the lap traffic controversy earlier on. Now with just 19 laps to go, he's up into position number 9 with a good shot to potentially get up there and battle it out for the race win. But currently leading the way, Jared Rexing. He's got Matthew Weeks behind him. Then it's Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fody up top. Trey Holmes into the top 5. He hung way back on the start of this one, and now he's hung up inside the... Well, never mind. He's going around.
Tate's going to be in it.
Oh,
late Norgard.
Trey Holmes. He's going to go up and over, and the caution flag going to fly.
Not sure how bad Tate's damage is, but Tate got a piece of that as well.
Let's take a look and see what just happened to Trey Holmes in the 88 machine. He's going to clip that apron. It's going to step out. Nearly gets into William White. Michael Haas is going to get collected. I think Tate's going to be okay. Cutlip should be okay as well. A Leighton Norgard and Trey Holmes, the drivers, to get most of the damage in this incident. So night most likely over for Trey Holmes, and just definitely unfortunate. Was having a good recovery drive up inside that top 5. So now your top 10. We'll take a quick run through the field. Jared Rexing leads the way. Ethan Stanley in second. Matthew Weeks in the 3rd spot. Tyler Fody up to 4th. 5th is William White on those 2 tires. Justin Wadsworth up to 6th. 7th is Michael... No, that's Jesse Racimus. 8th is Michael Hosick. 9th is Tate Lytle. 10th, John Cutlip. 11th, a Neighbor Pete. This is your favorite driver, Gavin Higgins in the 20. Kyle Hanshaw in the 12th spot. Connor Thompson in 13th. Dave Carpenter, 14th. Frank Fody, 15th. Then it's Joe Francis scored a 16th. Corey Abbott, 17th. Andrew Hardcastle, 18th. Leighton Norgard on pit road in 19th. Dustin Dewar in 20th. Everyone else is multiple laps down now, as this one has gotten a little crazy here in half number 2.
Yeah, I think the elite race finally broke out after that great run we saw there from the early portion all the way through the stages. And
hey, breaking news, Chris Wright. We got Neighbor Pete chatting in the YouTube chat. Shout out to you, Neighbor Pete. Go ahead, Chris Wright.
I don't even remember what I was going to say now.
You were probably saying hi to Neighbor Pete.
Oh, that's right. Hi, Neighbor Pete. Oh, and I remember what I was going to say. We got down to about 12 or 14 cars on the lead lap at one point, and now we're all the way back up to 20. Frank Fody got back last time, so he's back in this race. Any one of these guys on the lead lap has a shot to win this race. You talked about Tate Lytle, Jonathan Cutlip. We told you they needed 1 more yellow, but now we've had 2. They're matched up with everybody else. The one guy that I'm worried about up here still yet is William White, though, on his 2 right side tires.
2 tires is going to be a little sketchy, I think, especially as this one goes along.
If I had his ear, I would have told him right there, come on down, bite this bullet, and get you 4 new ones, because those old lefts are not probably going to be what you need to go win this race.
Well, we'll see what happens anyways. Jared Rexing, Ethan Stanley going to lead us back to the green flag. Only caution number 5. That's not too bad for a full-length race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. But just once again, a reminder of the color coding on your scoring tower. Blue, as in Jared Rexing, indicates he's currently in a playoff spot. Green which is Stanley, Fody, Weeks and company. They're locked in. Black, such
Take a
as
look at
William
that.
White.
Chad's got some parts and pieces back on his car.
Hey, he's got a hood. Tyler Wong putting up some funding to put a hood on that 15 machine, and he's pieced a race car back together like a Lego
Trey
set.
Holmes is gone, so Chad needs 4 cautions. Count them up. 4 cautions that he's not in, and he will be back on the lead lap.
Expecting there to be 4 cautions without Chad being involved is a heavy task, but we're under green once again. Big stack up at the back behind neighbor Pete's favorite driver, Gavin Higgins, but we're able to get back underway here as Jared Rexing leads us once again down into turn number 1. Ethan Stanley gonna clear Matthew Weeks into second. Stanley and Fody taking a look to the high side. Rexing falls down to the
I
inside.
don't know if I'd have done that if I was Rexing. That's 3 Lake Norman cars lined up once again in this top lane.
Yeah, he's got Matthew Weeks pushing him, William White and Jesse Racimus there as well. I'm going to say it right now. Keep an eye on Michael Hosek. This guy knows how to get into the fight at the end of these super speedways, and I would not be surprised to see him battling it out with these top 3 when it comes to the end of this one. He's in a pretty much must-win situation, so we'll see what he can do. As you see John Cutlip, he's taking a look 3 wide. That's something that you
John's
see a
gotta
lot.
go, and here he goes.
You see a lot of the Pro Edge and Fueled Up guys. They'll just throw it in 3 wide. As
Tate bounces off the 20, or the 20 bounces off of Tate. Not sure which
Tate
way that
Lytle
was.
impeding on neighbor Pete's territory. He's going to be the bad neighbor and move Gavin Higgins for a little bit of a ride. There goes William White.
For a ride too.
Wow! Oh my gosh! Weeks goes around. Caution
I'm telling
flags
you, William needs
displayed.
to come and get those lefts. If anybody out there has any kind of contact with William White, tell
Yeah,
him to
give
come
him a call.
down and get some left tires.
Let's take a look and see what happened to Matthew Weeks.
Actually, that wasn't on Williams' tires. That was Jonathan Cutlip trying to make
So
it 3 wide
Cutlip,
again.
yeah, Cutlip bodies White out of the way, then hooks Matthew Weeks as well by trying to fill a hole that I don't think was necessarily. It was there at the start. Gets into the back of Weeks, so Cutlip just comes through and clears out about half the field to work his way up there, and it's terrible to say,
John
but
is
we've seen
trying
that
to
a
make
couple
it-
times.
Make me a winner tonight. That's what he's doing. John said, "I'm getting back to the front."
I
Chris
don't know if he's
picked me,
going to
I
make
gotta
you
get
a
up there.
winner, but he's trying to stack up a couple tallies here. Aggressive driving there by.
Him and Tate were like one car. They had contact with the 20. Not sure whose fault it was, so I'm not blaming Tate. But there was contact between those 2 cars. John then makes contact with the 43, and I mean, then his teammate's not even safe. Weeks gets caught up in the wrath there too. Terrible half a lap there for the 5 and the 56.
Well, and keep in mind too, a guy like John Cutlip who just bodied 2 guys that are, well, William White trying to get himself into the playoffs, as Chad Frankfield going to get 1 lap back. William White trying to get into the playoffs. Of course, Matthew Weeks already locked in, but John Cutlip, a guy that is not in the race for a playoff spot whatsoever, coming up here and kind of knocking a guy out of the way for a spot and then nearly wrecking his teammate. That's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, the contact was maybe a little bit of netcode, but the 5 doesn't look like he made any attempt to get off of him either. But like I said, he's trying to prove me right, man. Make me a winner. He's got 4 more to go, and if it's anything like what we just saw, y'all look out, because they got some extra padding there on those fenders. They're going to stay straight while he moves whatever he needs to move with his big old snowplow.
So Stanley will lead as we'll restart with less than 10 laps to go. It's going to be Stanley, Rexing, Fody, Wadsworth, Bowling Ball, Lytle, Racimus, Hosek, Hanshaw, and Thompson. This baffles me a little bit right here. 11th place is going to be William White.
Guess what?
What we got?
Chad Frankenfield is now just 3 down, 3 to go.
Tyler Wong on the edge of his seat right now, cheering for Chad Frankenfield. Chad's still got a shot. A long shot, but he still got one.
Going to be interesting. You got those Lake Norman cars up there, but you got the 5 and the 56 coming behind them, the 70s back there. The 43 has lost all his track position, but has yet to come down and get those left side tires.
Yeah, I'm baffled. I'm baffled by the decision not to come
William
down.
White's got to realize his shot to win is not going to come unless he comes down and gets 4 tires.
Yeah, he's got to come before the shot's going to come for that 43, but doesn't look like he's going to come down pit road. So we'll keep our eyes on that. If we get another caution flag, obviously still going to be opportunity to work the way up and maybe grab a opportunity at the victory.
And like I said, we got 3 cautions for Chad Frankenfield to get back in this, and then all bets are off. I mean, I don't know what Chad's got up for a race car right now.
We got time for about 2 in regulation, and then we got 3 green white checkered attempts. As we're coming back to the green flag this time, Ethan Stanley, Jared Rexing, they're going to find the loud pedal first as we head to the Geico restart zone. We are green, and a good jump there by Stanley. Justin Wadsworth not helping Jared Rexing whatsoever, as we'll see if Tate Lytle gets up to Rexing and helps him out, or opts to go to the bottom with Cutlip, and that's the way it's going to go. Tate Lytle down to the inside lane as we head down the backstretch. Stanley, Fody, Wadsworth, Rexing, and Cutlip. That's your top 5 as we head through turns 3 and 4.
A lane change on the 25. Not sure how that affects the race, but it does affect his race, because if he gets a penalty for a lane change, he's going to get parked because that'll be 6 laps down.
Yeah, so Seth Rawls currently scored in the 22nd spot. As you see, Tate Lytle is taken back to the high side. Jared Rexing took a peek to the inside of Tyler Fody there. Now Fody to the high side is Stanley. Lake Norman going to try to control the 2 main lanes here. We'll see if Rexing goes 3 wide at any point in time. I don't know that he will, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Tate Lytle do it, as that's a driver that's not afraid to get his hands a little dirty to try to get up there and take a victory.
Yeah, and I think if I'm Tyler Fody, I'm trying to stay on the top as long as Ethan's the leader on the bottom. They're going to try to run side by side to the end if they can, but it's going to be pretty hard to do because I think Rexing's pretty... Oh, Hossik's going to get turned into the wall there just a little bit.
A little bit of 3 wide action back here. Frank Fody, Michael Hossick, William White, Corey Abbott, Matthew Weeks. Kind of all involved in that one. Hossick going to get bodied again. This time a bit of contact there by Matthew Weeks. Sends Michael Hossick up into the outside wall as he's still rim riding up there. We'll go back to the front where it's still side by side for the top spot. Coming to 5 to go this time. Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley side by side. Justin Wadsworth, Jared Rexing. That's your battle for 3rd and 4th with Tate Lytle and John Cutlip making up row number 3. Kyle Hanshaw up into the top 10 as well, guys. Be interesting to see what he can do as Jared Rexing gives Tyler Fody a hell of a push. Here comes Tate Lytle looking to the high side. He's going to have Jesse Racimas behind him. Watch that 56, and the momentum might swing their way as Racimas not sure what he wanted to do. I would have stayed with him.
I don't know. Top of 3 is pretty
Yeah, but you had Kyle Hanshaw coming as well. I think that top lane would have started to cook. Oh, man, Lytle sideways. 4 to go. Tyler Fody leads. Here comes Jared Rexing as Jesse Racimas going to clear ahead of Tate Lytle. Man, this is getting hairy up here. Frank Fody enters the top 10 with William White. Here comes Gavin Higgins trying to get his way up there as well. Oh, there we go. Jared Rexing, Ethan, everybody.
Tate Lytle.
There's your big one.
Kyle Hanshaw.
That's the field behind Fody. I think everybody but the 6 made it through.
Did Chad make it through? He's going to be 2 laps down. Oh, man. Tyler Fody made it through. William White and Justin Wadsworth going to be the other two to make it through. If I'm William White, am I coming down pit road here?
Yeah, you got to come get your left.
Get your tires, brother. Get your tires.
They were just pushing 3
Man.
deep, and the 10 came off the wall. Ethan Stanley. Jared gets involved. The 56, the 5, the 30, the 41. Great job by the 6 and the 43.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the only two guys. Well, I think the 36 made it. The 22 might have made it.
Just look at this. Frank Foti in there. Kyle Hanshaw, Gavin Higgins, Andrew Hardcastle, Corey Abbott. Joe Francis, I think, is going to slide by on the bottom. He might get collected on the end
Look
of
at
this
Jared
one.
Rexing. He is crabbing hard here on pit road. That car is done.
I mean, he had cars on top of him, so I get that. Wow. So, your field, as they run, Tyler Foti, Jesse Racines, Tate Lytle, Justin Wadsworth, William White, the top 5, Gavin Higgins, Joe Francis, Dustin Dorr, Ethan Stanley, Michael Hosick, the top 10. That's it.
I'm going to tell you, Tate's got a ton of damage on his machine.
So the
So I think
inside
Tate's gonna be
lane's
hurting pretty bad
probably
taking
going to be
off.
pretty cooked here. This is wild. We're gonna
Tate hit hard.
step away just one final time. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And we're back. Lights are off on the pace car. Going to be green, white, checkered attempt number 1 of a possible 3 here. Tyler Foti, Jesse Racines, Justin Wadsworth, Tate Lytle, William White, Gavin Higgins, Joe Francis, Dustin Dorr, Ethan Stanley, Michael Hosick, the top 10. There's a lot of damaged cars up here towards the front of the field. But nonetheless, we're going to come back to a restart here momentarily, which will be a green, white, checkered. By the way, Chad Frankfield now only 2 laps down.
Yeah, but Chad's going to need to use all the green, white checkers now. Like, he's going to need all of
Yeah,
them.
he's going to need all of them, and his chances are slim. But he was at risk of getting parked for the 6-lap down rule, so even to come back and be able to snag a couple of extra spots, it's not going to mean anything to him, but it's still going to be a couple extra points on the board in the overall season fight. As pace cars off, we're coming back to the green flag this time. Foti, Racines, we are green flag racing once again, and it's going to be
What a
Justin
box for that top
Wadsworth.
lane.
Yeah, I mean, you got
And-
damaged cars on the inside lane. It's not going to help.
We got the 70 of Racines. He's in a must-win situation. He's 7 points above the top 25 or whatever the cutoff is right now.
He's
so
going
it's
to do
gonna
whatever he
get really
can.
interesting.
He's going to do whatever he can. He's got a good run down the backstretch. As you see drivers moving all over the place. I believe that was William White that went to the high side. He's going to get behind Justin Wadsworth. Coming to the white flag this time. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Here comes Wadsworth on the high lane. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go.
I like
Somebody-
Wadsworth.
Somebody might get some whiplash on this white flag lap.
Oh, I guarantee it. Here comes Gavin Higgins as well.
Ooh,
Tate
Tate's
Lytle. Well,
sideways.
there goes
They're gonna get
Tate.
together.
Tate's lost it.
I was going to say, Wadsworth here on this top
Come
side.
on.
The top has been dominant on
If
the front
William
line.
White can get himself a run, I don't think anyone's got anything for Lake Norman here. Nobody's really making a move, and they're wrecking
Contact
behind
them.
at the line. Well, there goes Wadsworth. Some violence again from Lake Norman on each other. And it's going to be Justin Wadsworth taking the victory over Tyler Fody and William White. Gavin Higgins going to come home fourth. Dustin Doerr fifth. Joe Francis, Andrew Hardcastle, Michael Hosick, Ethan Stanley, and Jesse Racimus, your top 10. Justin Wadsworth, guys, he entered this race in a must-win situation, and he just did it. He won the race and should lock himself into a playoff spot here tonight.
I'm going to tell you, though.
I do
a
believe,
lot of people
though,
might think Fody was giving it to him, but I think Fody was willing to wreck him at the line. Fody went up there and hit him pretty hard.
I'm going to say one thing. I think this might be at the unfortunate cost of his teammate, Scott Crump, because Crump was kind of in one of those wild card spots, and I think he's lost it here today and going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs. But here's your winner, Justin Wadsworth, victorious at Atlanta.
What a great finish, too. Classic Atlanta finish here on the new pavement. Absolutely incredible race there at the end.
We're going to step aside real quick, and when we come back, we'll have the results and your top 3 finishers. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, wrapping up what was a wild finish to our regular season. We're going to go ahead and kick things off with our third place driver, William White. William, it's Robert up here in the booth. You got a copy?
I sure do.
You came home in the third position here tonight, but we got to ask, Why the decision not to come down pit road and get a set of tires? That very well could have been the difference maker here tonight.
I mean, it could have been, but I feel like I just valued the track position that badly, especially after not making life easy for myself. I made that 2-tire call to get myself in the lead, and the car felt fine, but I made the mistake on the restart of thinking the Lake Norman guys were telepathic, and they got a far bigger run than I anticipated from me going a bit before the green, so that put me back a bit. But the car felt fine on 2 tires, and even towards the end there, it was ripping just as much as the guys on 4. So I think thankfully I made the right call on that one. Yeah, it was just track position mainly. I felt like I needed to be as close to the front as I could because those closing 30 laps, it looked like carnage up at the front, and I wanted to try and be there and capitalize, and thankfully I was.
Now, walk us through your night as a whole. Things got a little bit crazy out there this evening. We saw some lap traffic come into play on numerous occasions. We saw some big aggression, especially at the end of this one as well. What was your view of the evening from the seat of that 43 car?
Largely a pretty nice view. I usually didn't have too many cars in front of me. I qualified well enough. Qualified P5. Was in and around the top 5, top 3 most of the running. Had that long green run. Obviously, where we had to pit under green, that was a bit scary, but still hanging around the top 10, which is really what you can ask for at a pseudo super speedway. And despite the slight brain fart on the restart, where I made the 2-tire call, I think that was possibly what lost me the win there, because the car felt fine enough where I felt like it could have stayed up front the rest of the race thereafter. But after that, weaving through the carnage, the million cautions that we had towards the end, I'm just thankful my car stayed in one piece and that I was able to get a podium out of it.
So it looks like you may just miss the playoffs by a handful of points here. What's your plan for the rest of the season? Are you going to try to kind of build up that notebook heading into 2025A and go out there to try to steal some wins, or you just going to keep doing what you're doing?
Well, I'll keep on the rest of the season. I'll be really unfortunate if I miss the playoffs, because I was like 1 point out at the start of the race and I finished third, so I couldn't really have done much more. But no, it's been fun. I've had the pace to be up front all season, and I'm glad that I've been rewarded for it somewhat. But as for 2025A, gonna switch things up a bit. I'll be going back to my roots a little bit, going back to ARCA. I'm really excited for that to start up in November. Gonna try and do a bit of trophy hunting there. Try and finally bag win number 1. It's been nearly 2 years now. Do a bit of trucks, do a bit of Grand National. We'll see about Cup, but things will change slightly for 25A, but I'm going to keep minding my own business and try and keep chugging along as I always do.
Well, William, any shout-outs you want to give, sponsors you want to thank for putting that 43 on the racetrack?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Everyone, Abbott Motorsports, Leighton, Corey, Andrew. Thomas was here for a little while, unfortunately ran into trouble early, but he was still around. You have Elite Performance Industries, ACPI, obviously they're funding my, not funding, but they're helping me on the eNASCAR side of things with setups and all that. Great coaching, great setups over there. University of Chichester for putting up with my nonsense at 1:30 in the morning. Super supportive. Got a great esports program with the Chai Challengers. They're a good bunch to hang out with. And of course, you guys for putting on the show. You have obviously Race Control as well. Josh did a brilliant job as always. And yeah, thank you so much as well for the broadcast.
Well, that's William White, your third place finisher here tonight at Atlanta. Will, congratulations on a solid run.
Thank you so much.
Now I'm going to hand it over to Chris Wright. He's going to first catch up with our second place finisher, Tyler Fody, and then have a chance to speak with our race winner, Justin Wadsworth.
Yeah, I am standing here with second place finisher tonight, but playoffs nonetheless, and he almost won the thing. Tyler, talk to us about your night. What you thought about, we kind of had a tale of two races out here tonight. You had the first one that went green a lot. You guys got to do some green flag pit stops out here tonight. It was a lot of fun to watch you guys there on that long run. And then you saw the elite race break out there in those last 40 or 50 laps. So talk to us about your night.
Yeah, I enjoyed this package a lot, honestly. It started off as like a super speedway, and then everyone was sliding. You were having to lift and roll the corners and kind of hang on to it. Both lines seemed like they could work. So, yeah, overall, really liked the whole package. Felt like I was in control for most of it. The team, at least, we were all up there for a good amount of time. Yeah, so just kind of holding the track position, doing the pit stops, getting the restarts down. And yeah, then the chaos started breaking out there at the end. Unfortunately, lost Stanley there right at the end, but Justin was hanging with me pretty much the whole race, so was working with him. And then yeah, the end of that worked out pretty much the way we planned it. I was going to try and get clear and then just get to the bottom, so we could have both of the lanes kind of controlled there. Bittersweet, obviously, because I would have liked to gone back to back, but Justin getting his first elite win outside of ARCA, that's pretty cool, and he's deserved it. He's had a rough season, so really cool to see that. I'm super happy for him, and yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. I'm gonna throw into one. The first one, you guys really controlled coming to those stage breaks, those stage ends. You know, it was you, the 6, the 91. I know as a team overall, you all ran really well tonight, controlling the race. Didn't get the 90, the finish that you wanted there out of him and his issues early. And then, of course, coming to the checker flag, we saw you get up into the side of the 6. I mean, were you trying to do what you could at that point to win the race, or was that an accident?
No, actually, I hadn't been that low coming to the end with the little line there, and the last thing I wanted was to have a cut in the line coming to the finish and get a penalty. So I was trying to go around it, and then next thing you know, we're coming together there, and I didn't want to totally loop it. So yeah, I got into him. I had already accepted that he got me pretty much out of 4 with the momentum, but yeah, I was just trying to bring it home there 1-2. So happy we were able to do that.
Well, all right, Tyler, before we let you jump out of here, are there any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, well, obviously the whole team tonight. Had my dad running with us. Justin, obviously, super happy for him to get that first win. I know he's pumped. Yeah, shout-out Stanley for running up front. Crump did make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure, so it's cool that we got everyone in there, even though he had a tough night. Shout out my dad too. He was kind of hanging with the pack, went a lap down, and then was dodging all the wrecks. And I could hear him talking back there. He was coming up through the field. I think he was almost to the top 10 late in the running there, and got caught up in that last wreck. So, yeah, shout out to him, everyone for running with us, and then John Cutlip with JD Designs for painting all our cars, and then you and Robert up here for putting on the show.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you brought him up and you heard him back there and whatnot. Tell you, for anybody who's never done it, when you race in a Discord with Frank Fody, you know, some people like to be quiet, some people don't. I'm a talker myself. I like a lot going on. And Frank is always talking, so he's a lot of fun to race with. And there's always going to be something said, especially if Frank and I are in there together. But nonetheless, great run tonight, Tyler, and we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday and back out here next week, too. So should be a fun couple races, couple road courses back-to-back.
Yep, looking forward to it.
All right, Robert, I am standing here with the first-time winner tonight in this season. Justin, you needed to win and walk off style, just like Freddie Freeman the other night in the World Series, and you pulled it off. Talk to us about tonight and what it means to you here to get into the playoffs.
Man, it feels good. I was a little nervous coming into the race, seeing I was outside of the cut line, I think by about 15 points. But luckily, you know, with it being a stage race, just tried to keep the nose clean, stay in the top 10, and be there at the end, and it worked out.
Whole lot of excitement down here from Justin. You can hear it in his voice, just how excited he is. What's the outlook for the playoffs, Justin? What are we looking to see here? We've got a road course, I believe, coming up to Roval. So what's your road course ability like, and what are you hoping to get out of these playoffs?
You know, no, I feel like I'm just kind of playing on house money, so we'll see how it goes. I usually feel pretty good about the road courses. We'll see about the Roval. I haven't done too many in this Xfinity car, but hopefully get away top 10, top 5, and see if we can make a run for it.
All right, Justin, before we let you jump out of here and celebrate with the rest of the team, are there any sponsors you want to thank, shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, shout out to my sponsor, Rebel Workshop. If you guys need a paint job, Thomas does a great job. Shout out to my dad, my girlfriend. They both watched during the race. I know they were both super happy to see me get the win, and I was, freaking out earlier when it happened. So a big shout out to them. And then thank you to Lake Norman. Obviously that was a big part of the win tonight. We were all able to run up front, kind of work the lines a little bit. Tyler, took the bottom, so I took the top. So we kind of had both lanes covered. So big shout out to them. They, that, like I said, I don't think I would have got the win without them tonight. So, and then big thanks to you guys. I love watching these broadcasts back. You guys do an awesome job up there in the booth. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, now that you've won a race, is it time to put a ring on that, girlfriend?
Don't you say that.
Well, all right, Justin, we'll let you get back to it there. We'll see you next week. It's always fun to be Justin's another guy I race with a lot here lately since Lake Norman, them guys. I drive for them in the truck stuff, and Justin's a guy that I think is going to be a threat for this championship. Can't wait to see how it plays out, Justin.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That was Justin Wadsworth, the future fiance of his girlfriend. Just an update here, Chris Wright. We got your playoff field right here. Number 1 seed heading into the playoffs will be Tyler Fody, Ethan Stanley second, Matthew Weeks third, Ethan Burrell, Leighton Norgard will be the top 5, Jared Rexing 6th, Justin Wadsworth 7th, Tate Lytle 8th, and then the rest of the drivers all tied with no bonus points. Scott Crump, Joe Francis, Gavin Higgins, Hunter Smith, David Tooker, and William White. And the first 2 drivers on the outside looking in were Seth Rawls and Chad Frankenfield. Chris, that was a wild way to end our regular season here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. Why don't we go ahead and get some final thoughts from you?
Yeah, before we get into my final thoughts, I'll just say on behalf of Josh here, Josh isn't with us right now. He's having to do some admin stuff. People wanted some stuff looked at, and it's a busy night for an admin after a super speedway race like this. So I'm sure Josh had a great time. He enjoys being with us, and we look forward to him being back with us next week, and hopefully it's not as busy for him. But as for me, it was a great race. I loved the green flag running, the green flag stops. It was new. It was exciting. A lot of fun to watch these guys slide around on those old tires. And then we got that finish there, and a lot of yellows, and you heard the drivers talk about, William White even talked about it there a little bit, that he felt like track position was king at that point in the race. And I do agree to a point. I think, still restarting in the top 4 with 4 tires was probably what you wanted. But nonetheless, it was a great race, great finish, a classic Atlanta finish here on the new pavement. So hopefully we get to see more of that, and maybe at some point we'll get to get away from super speedway racing at Atlanta here, and we'll get a package that these guys can go out here and run the fence with.
It was definitely an exciting one here tonight at Atlanta. We saw some great battles all throughout. Congratulations to Justin Wadsworth on the victory and the rest of those playoff drivers. Excited to kick things off with the 2024B playoffs coming up on November the 4th at the Charlotte Roval. It'll be 48 laps there for that one, and that will kick off our playoff season. But on behalf of Chris Wright, Dave Huckleberry, Chad Frankenfield, all the admins here at the Elite Racing League, we want to thank our sponsors as well: Blue Wing Marketing, 40 Racewear, Rev Limit Workshop, Worldwide Technology Raceway, and of course Rebilas Photography for their support all season long. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Thanks for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you next time on the Elite Racing Network. Good night, everybody.